Well, g'day. Welcome back to Griffith's Garden. So today I'm going to show you a little bit of the fruits of all of our labour, and now is the best time to pick all of your fruit and vegetables in the morning. Sadly though, the most time that I have to be able to do this is in the afternoons, and of course if I'm filming in the afternoons, then everything that's been in the sun all day is obviously warm, and that's just not when you want to do it. It's not the best time to pick all your fruit and veg. So this one's a little bit different today. I've been out this morning and have picked, and so I'll share with you what I have been able to gather, as well as a couple of things that we have picked already in between times. I'm going to share with you some of the things that we make with all of our produce. So I've got the trusty scales, just to give you a bit of an idea of where things are at. I'll let you know how many of each of the tomatoes, more than anything, how many kilos we got last year and where we're at this year so far. So let's jump into it, shall we, and see what we've been able to pick up this morning, what it looks like, and sort of where that is on the scale of what we've got left. So before we get too carried away with the scales, I thought I'd show you some of the corn that we've picked. We've probably got about 20 odd, maybe a couple more cobs, and you can see they're pretty well formed. These are just been trimmed up, and we've got them in the fridge. There's a number of them. Actually, there's only a couple of these left in the fridges in terms of ears. Most of them have been, the kernels have been taken off and saved up for later on. But that's from the first lot of corn that we planted, not the big box store corn that we tried to save. Although they are now starting to flower, so they will be coming up shortly. Anyway, just for the sake of it, what's a cob of corn weigh? Trusty scales, 360 grams. So I don't think I can turn this into ounces and so on. It's only kilograms. So 360 grams, you'll have to do the conversion yourself. Now, beans. We're still going gangbusters with beans. And these are fresh off the bushes this morning from down there. Zero that off. There's 1.46 kilos of beans there. So that's probably, that probably doesn't weigh too much, but there's probably 1.2 kilos of beans there at least. $380, so a little bit more, just about as much as a cob of corn. So there's 1.1 kilos of bush beans for this morning. Now we don't get that every day. We pick them, well, I think I've explained before that they go through cycles, right? So there's flushes of fruit, and then there'll be a series of flowers before the next lot of beans obviously are ready. But right now you can't see, but there's a ton of flowers on them right now. What do we do with our beans? We just save them, blanch them, put them in the freezer, eat them fresh. We don't really do anything else with the beans. Corn, as I said, we take the kernels off, and they freeze really well for throughout the year. Some of it goes into relishes and things like that. Otherwise, they are absolutely sweet as can be. And again, organically grown. Let's move on to the tomatoes. Right, so let's have a look at the tomatoes. In this case, this is the KY1. The one bush tomato that was just over there in that little raised bed And you should be able to make out, that's just this morning. Now we've already picked 9.6 kilograms of KY1s. This, again, the basket will weigh a little bit. It's plastic, but that's 5.12 kilos. So almost half of what we've picked already. These are an interesting tomato, to be honest. Unwashed. We don't wash any of our fruit until we're ready to use it. It has its preserving layer of bits and pieces on there. As soon as you wash it, you lose it. Just like eggs, actually. You don't want to wash your eggs until you either have to sell them commercially or want to use them yourself for any particular reason, but we don't wash them. So these are a fairly small sort of a tomato. Obviously a few strange sizes, shapes, but it's probably one of the bigger ones. Now, they obviously go a little bit softer when they're ripe, so as long as they got colour, all good. So there's 5.5 kilos, or 5 kilos was it? Just over 5 kilos of KY1s. Add that to the 9.5 in there, and well, there's at least 14 kilos of tomatoes, and I think there's probably another, maybe that much more to go. So we're not going to hit 20 kilos quite, I don't think, off of one bush tomato. Not bad, but probably not the best tomato. Well, no, they're not the best tomato, but they are very good. You saw me cut one of these open, actually, in part 9, was it, of growing juicy tomatoes. So they're fine. Blue Mountains are obviously better. So that's the KY1s. Now, let's get on to, we're going to jump to capsicums next. And you saw in a few other videos, we've got a range of, we bought a punnet, and it was a mixed punnet of capsicums, peppers, however you wish to call them. And it is exactly that. So I'll drag some over here and we can have a bit of a look at what I've been able to pick this morning off the capsicum plant. All right, so there's your regular bell pepper. A couple of these. These are green. Green's fine. Green always turns to red. No, it doesn't. Green sometimes turns to red. Green will go from green through a browny sort of a colour to red, or we don't have any in here, and that's why I've picked these. They go yellow. Some varieties will go from green to yellow. However, this normal style of bell pepper becomes very hit and miss trying to get it from green, nice, firm, solid green capsicum. When it goes from this colour through to its final colour, whether it be red or yellow, you get a lot of loss. So, I don't know what the percentage would be, but, maybe you'd only get 3/4 of them. The rest, they just kind of rot along the way. So the yellow ones are very susceptible to that sort of problem. We've only had about 3 or 4 yellow ones. There's only one bush, mind you. And the rest of them we're just picking green like this before they go bad. So there's a handful of those. Here's an example, right? See that? Probably sunburn, but that's about as good as some of them get. Some. Now, looky here. Brown ones. Start off green and they go a chocolatey colour. And in next to that plant is another one that has tiny little ones, so like bite-size capsicums. That one there's a little bit questionable, but interesting, right? The other thing that's interesting is the little yellow ones. Now these are a lot easier, or orange. These are a lot easier to grow. Bite-size, bite-size capsicums. What else do we have? These red ones are the candy cane. So remember the variegated capsicum plant? That's one of the green ones. I think it fell off while I broke it off. You can just make out the stripes in it still. I'm not sure if you can see them there, but they grow quite well and turn red quite well. That one's a little bit brown still, but it's okay. I thought I'd pick it to make sure it didn't go bad. But yeah, they come out quite well. They lose their variegation, their stripes. And then of course there's another sort of a mini capsicum there. And the other one I wanted to show you is what's on the very beginning of that row, and that's chili jalapenos. That's what it was called. That's what comes out of them. Well, I should say that's what comes off that bush. Interesting. Don't look like a jalapeno at all, but that's what they've called them. Quite a few. So if I just take all these out, quite a few capsicums there. The odd leaf. And that's it. So quite nice. Now again, we don't really do anything specific with our capsicums to preserve them, other than you know, they're quite easy to slice down and you can freeze them up in pieces. Easy to grab frozen and put into a breakfast smash. All right, now let's get on to the good things. I also picked a load of Blue Mountains. Again, some just a little bit of blush, some a little bit more ripe. Now that scale is obviously set back to 0, and if we start pulling these out, in fact I'm not even sure I'm going to get them all on there. No. But I will try, because the main reason why is because there's a load of cherry tomatoes in here as well. Oh, saved it. So somehow I've got to try and fit all these on here. That one's got a little bit of sun damage. But look at these. These are really nice tomatoes. You've heard me say that plenty of times and probably sick of it, to be honest. They're not going to fit, are they? Because look at these guys down the bottom. We've got all these to put on here yet. Come back. That is it. And the rest of them are cherry tomatoes, including a few yellow ones. So I might be able to make this up to 3.4 kilos. .4, that's another 2.6. 6 kilograms of Blue Mountain tomatoes. We've already picked 9.5, so 6. There's 15 kilos so far. Last year we picked, I think, 30 kilos on the dot of these things. In terms of what we got left out there, there's probably, well, I think we'll do it again. I think it's probably another 15 kilos out there. There's some really, really good size ones in the bush configuration. Yeah, things like this, and a bit bigger. So there we go. The Blue Mountain heirlooms type tomato. Brilliant. You saw me eating it in one of the other videos. You can't go wrong. But question is, what else do we do with our tomatoes and other bits and pieces other than what I've already explained? So let's have a look at what we do. Okay, so I'm surrounded by produce, not all of it. There's some notable absentees, and that's because we don't have any of those at this point in time. They're still growing. Case in point, zucchinis. You might be able to make out behind me over there, there's zucchinis. Flowering like, you know what? But only fruit flowers. There's no pollinating flowers. So the male flowers are not there at the moment. So the fruit are not being pollinated. They will get to probably this long and at best, and that'll be that. So we can pick some, and I doubt you can see, but there's probably 3 or 4 that long. So I think that was the heat. It was really quite hot last week. So I think that had an impact on those plants in terms of flowers. Hopefully that'll resolve itself soon. And you can certainly see the female flowers of the fruit quite prolific over there at the moment. So that's zucchini. What do we do with the zucchini? Believe it or not, that's zucchini in there. Now I've got a little plate because a couple of these I'll be able to open. And this is absolutely delicious. Zucchini relish. It's got mustard in there, it's got all sorts of bits and pieces in there. Now this, you can probably put it on anything actually. We had it on salad the other night. But you add that to a sandwich, a roll, a bread roll, whatever meat's in there, smoked meats, cured meats, whatever, salad, some of that in there. Very good. So that's what we do with zucchini. The other absentee here is cucumbers. Now, this one's not open, so I won't put any on there. Pickled cucumbers, bread and butter cucumbers, I don't know, probably got a range of different names. Mustard seeds again, and a bunch of other bits and pieces. Looks like onion in there. That's my department. This department is Mrs. Griffiths. So these are very, very good as well. People love these. So that's where the cucumbers, some of the cucumbers end up. What we haven't really shown too much of, because we haven't started picking any yet, is the chilies. There's cayenne chilies over there next to the corn. You would have seen the smaller plant when they were smaller. But this is sweet chili sauce. And again, that's we got a bucket load of that. A little bit runny, that one. So we make a lot of that, but even better than this is chili oil. And I have to say that I guess it doesn't have the sugar in it, right? It's just a little bit hotter. And drizzle that over your poached eggs, fried eggs, whatever, on your breakfast, and that is really good. So that's the chili sauce. That'll be coming. Chili oil, chili sauce. That'll be coming soon. These guys, you probably haven't seen too much of where these come from. This one is blueberry jam. The blueberries are just over there. We don't have blueberry jam, okay? In North America, you would call it jelly. Blueberry jelly. Jam here in Australia, and this one is strawberries. Strawberry jam. The strawberries are just here, going good if they can get past the bush to mouth journey, then they make their way into some jams. Blueberries are over there. They had a really solid prune last year, so no fruit this year. Well, insignificant fruit this year. So thankfully we've still got a few of those in storage. Next, however, is these things. And that's where the Romas and the San Marzano tomatoes come into it. What have we got? This is tomato paste. So we've got a lot of this stuff in storage. Tomato paste. This is Passata. That well, I don't know, I probably don't need to tell you how to use that. You use that in all sorts of dishes. And this one's already open, of course. Tomato sauce. Some people call it ketchup. In Australia, it's sauce. And that is also extremely good. Quite a little bite to it. I'm not sure where the recipe came from. But when I say bite, nice little tang to it, spicy. Something to it other than just, tomato paste. So that's probably it in terms of what we do with our produce across the years or across the season. There are a couple of other bits and pieces. I couldn't find anything as I was running around in there trying to bring all these out. But that's pretty much what we do with what we grow here. Another notable absentee, however, is potatoes. We've got to dig those soon, but not yet. Just having a quick think. Eggplant is another one that's missing. Eggplant, aubergine, same thing, depending on where you're from. Nothing to do with size. It is the same name, like jelly and jam. Cherry tomatoes, spoken about, they just get eaten. So I think that's it, other than a few lettuces growing around. I think that's it from Griffith's garden. This is the summer season, and this is what comes out of our garden. So I hope you enjoyed that. A good look at what we do with our vegetables, fruit and vegetables. We certainly don't go hungry in terms of fresh vegetables and homemade produce. Add to that the eggs as well from the chickens, which is where some of these things go, right? You can afford to do that when you grow plenty of your own. So I think that's it from Griffith's garden for today. Hope you enjoyed the update. I'll see you again soon.